Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Going to be working on something new. So this is a 1994, so it's a 30-year-old van now. This is a T4 2.4 diesel. So it's one of the earlier models with a kind of standard 5-cylinder diesel engine, no turbo or anything. Quite a hardy engine. It's got 170,000 miles on the clock, and one thing's for sure, it's very, very rusty. But before I delve into the rusty bits, a little bit about this van. I've had it for a wee while. You might have seen it in the background of a couple of videos. I dragged this out of a field where it sat for roughly 10 years, around a year or so ago, and it's kind of sat on the driveway since, but it's now got its turn to get a bit of attention. So as I say, it's a nice early model, quite basic spec, window winders. It's got all the kind of early spec switches. As I say, just shy of 170 on the clock, which is absolutely nothing for these old 2.4 diesels. Fairly standard inside. Standard seats. Armrests on the passenger one. It is kind of full of crap at the moment, but 5-speed gearbox, just the standard one, original to the van. It does have a full-size tailgate, which is quite desirable. Sliding door on the passenger side, and the inside itself was at one point kitted out with some sort of camping setup, but I've totally stripped that out because obviously I'm going to need to make a few repairs inside the van. It does have a few cool things. It's got sliding windows, both sides. It's the same on that side. And like I say, it's got the full-size tailgate, which is absolutely ideal for a camper van setup, which is exactly what this van is intended to be. I'm going to get it all welded up, refurbish some of the underside, the running gear and stuff, get it MOT'd. And then basically it's going to be a bit of a adventure wagon for my girlfriend and I. So we're going to both kind of kit out the inside with some sort of sleeping arrangements and a sink, cooking stuff, all that kind of stuff. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this van will take us all over the UK, certainly all over Scotland, perhaps into Europe. But yet, before any of that, it does need a fair bit of work. So let's dive in. Yeah, starting at the front of the van, I know that the front wings pretty good up the top. These are the early wings that are actually welded to the van itself. Going a little bit at the bottom here, just in the arches. And you can see just in here as well. You can actually buy the lower section of the wing as a repair panel. So I'll likely do that. And I know for a fact the van is rotten in that tray just in there. So that's where like the fuel filter sits, and it's just kind of the lower corner of the engine bay. Sort of the battery sits up in here. So all this is quite nice and solid on the inside. It's going a little bit on the inner arch here. That's not too bad. We'll get easy access into there. This arch bit itself is solid. These tend to go quite bad. This is quite solid here. The doors themselves are actually quite good. Just the kind of bottom sections going slightly. They might clean up okay. Might have to do just a wee repair there, but you can, again, buy the lower sections of the doors as well. The sills here, just on the doorstep. In fact, these steps themselves are very common to go. The whole step rots out. This one's not too bad. It's nice and solid up in here where it needs to be. Just going a bit in here. Well, not just a bit, it's absolutely rotten. So yeah, this whole kind of section here will be replaced. I do have the repair panels for these already, so I've got the outer sill and the inner one that you can just see here. So likely cut out sort of probably this whole section. Try to just sort of plate up this bit in here, and then we'll get the inner and outer sill on, and that should be good to go. We'll see what like the step is here and kind of in behind there. It seems solid enough. So yeah, this is the inner sill that I've just mentioned, and the outer sill as well. One thing that's really good about these T4s is you can virtually get any repair panel. eBay and all that stuff is absolutely full of these panels, so you know they're quite cheap, don't cost too much. So now the driver's step is, believe it or not, went in exactly the same place, so must be a common water trap, but yeah, absolutely rotten in the back here. Inner sill's gone a lot more on this side. So yeah, that'll all need totally replaced. There's a jacking point you can just make out in the back there. It's quite solid, but I might need to make up something just to strengthen that slightly. Yeah, this outer sill is totally rotten. You can see at the bottom here, inner sill's totally gone as well, so that'll be fun and games fixing that. But like I say, we've got the repair panels, we'll get it done. The step here is going a wee bit more than the other side, but I think we might have just caught it in time. We might need to just address a few bits up here, patch up the step in a couple of places, and again just sort of fix this section that runs along here. They seem to go in the exact same places, so we'll do a fix on one side and then we'll mirror it onto the other side. Again, this arch here is actually quite good, not too bad, so it should just need a clean up. Door, exact same place along the bottom. The rest of the door is pretty good. And then this arch, actually not too bad. Although I have a feeling this might have been repaired before, because there's quite a, I think this is all filler in here, because it's kind of got a raised edge there, but we'll see. We won't know until we get the grinder out, but the rest of this wing's good, so nice and straight. The whole van is actually quite nice and straight. The just all the kind of bottom sections that seem to be going. Now the outriggers, which is this part here, which heads up to the front, which bolts to the front cross member. The outriggers themselves, they tend to go quite bad, but this one actually looks quite solid, which is good. There might be a couple of patches in this corner here, and the front panel itself is it's a goner. It's totally rotten, but I have managed to secure another one of those, so that's the front panel taken care of. This just needs a paint, but it's absolutely solid, and I've got a spare set of lights on it as well. Scuttle panel, another common place for these to go. It looks as though I'll get away with this one, just cleaning it up and giving it a paint. It's just going a wee bit on the edges, but it's nothing to worry about. Now the engine itself, as you'll have seen, 2.4 diesel, 5-cylinder, and it's a AAB, which from what I've read up on is an extremely reliable engine. Quite a hardy engine as well, quite desirable as well. They seem to throw these in some of the older campers as well. But basically it's mechanical fuel injection, so diesel pumps down there. It's got one wire for the fuel shut-off valve, and that's literally all there is to it to make it run. You know, as long as there's oil in the engine and there's diesel getting fed to the pump, this engine will run, no problem at all. So yeah, that's just that corner I mentioned. There's your diesel fuel filter there, and this bit here is just totally rotten, but that's all right. We'll get the whole front end off, front panel off, and all that stuff. We'll get the battery and things out, and we'll be able to get right in about to there to patch it up. It's no show van, it's not going to be perfect, but it will be solid, so that's all that matters. So moving along, I'm going to need to patch up this sort of main sill as well. I believe you can get this repair panel, but I've patched up sills in the past, so nothing too bad there. Now this rear arch, and in fact the rear quarter itself, is not great. This rear section actually is kind of part of the rear quarter, so there's usually a little vent thing here. These are just totally gone, not good at all. The tubs are nice and solid, which is actually surprising. These tend to go really bad actually. I see a lot of people having to replace them. You need a bit of a clean up in here, and yeah, just a few repairs here and there. But as I say, this thing sat in a field for God knows how long, at least 10 years anyway, in a kind of damp field, so it's not had a great life, but we're gonna get it fixed up anyway. Here's the inside of those wheel tubs. Now I have started cleaning up and cutting out rot in the back here. That's why there's big gaping holes. The inside the rear quarter, which has been replaced before, you can see the fold line going along and all the wax oil. So these have been replaced before. But we'll likely cut out most of that and replace them with new ones, which I have here. So I've got 2 full quarters for the back. Again, these are readily available, not too expensive. Probably don't fit very well, but we'll just work with what we've got. And like I said, I've started cutting out the floor, coming back to good metal. So chassis legs are all good. Got nice solid metal to weld to here. These chassis legs as well, nice and solid. Just needed cleaned up. The cross member, there's one that runs from here right along to here. I've just had to cut that out because it was totally rotten. So we're going to make up a cross member here, probably just a bit of box section, and then that'll get spot welded to the section of floor that I put in here. And yeah, we'll just kind of patch these bits up as we go. I do have a floor repair section, so that's 1500mm by 500mm, so it's a fair bit. And we'll be able to make cuts off of that just to match the profiling of the rest of the floor. These bits might just do flat sheet metal. These corner sections here, once I get the rear quarters in, that will kind of block off this bit, and I can just sort of sheet metal just to patch right up in here. So same at that side as well. It's going to be a hell of a lot of welding, but I'm keen to get stuck in. So moving on to the rest of the van. The rest of the floor is actually reasonable, not too bad. We'll need a few repairs in here, a bit of daylight coming through, and this bit just here, there's a cross member that runs along here. Basically anywhere there's a cross member, it seems to have started going a bit, just where the spot welds are. And I believe there is, in here, there's a big sort of spring mount plate. They tend to go as well, so we'll see what it's like once we've cut this top section of the floor out. Might have to make a kind of spring mounting point there, and probably the same at this side as well. Doesn't seem to be too bad. Now the sliding door itself, they tend to go quite bad. This one's not too bad. It is going at the bottom, so much so that this roller bracket has came away from the door slightly, so the door doesn't really shut straight. I know you can buy the sections for these, so it might just be we go down that route unless we can find another good sliding door. But I would definitely want to retain the sliding windows. Now the side step, these always rot. Now this one is actually, it looks really bad. It's a bit wavy, but it is actually remarkably solid. You know, it'll take my weight, no problem. So I'm hoping I'll get away with this step. There might be a few bits just in here to patch up, and I'll certainly need to patch up this bit. This is rotted right through, so yeah, probably have to cut out this whole sort of bit in here, plate up the inside and then plate over the top. Now I do have a repair panel for this bit here. It is actually quite solid, but it is quite brown as well, so I'm not sure when I take a grinder to that, I think it might just go through, so we'll see. I've got the panel anyway to replace it, so we'll maybe just do it that way. But yep, that is pretty much it. It's actually a really straight van. There's no dents or anything, just a lot of rust. All I had to do was fix the wire to the shut-off valve on the pump, put a decent battery in it, and put some fresh diesel in it, and it started right up. After I bled some of the air out of the system, it fired right up and idled away fine. So I think it's going to be a decent little engine. But yeah, I've got most of the panels. The only thing that's stopping me now is just me doing the work. So I'm going to end the video here, and I hope you see you in the next one where we'll start getting stuck into this van. We'll maybe see, probably going to start with these quarters, see if I can get them fixed up. I suspect the inner arch here might just need a bit of a patch as well once we've cut that quarter out, just so that there's something for the two panels to spot weld together with. But like I say, this van is not going to be perfect. We're just going to get it solid again, get it kind of presentable, and yeah, we'll just start using it, get it MOT'd as soon as we can, and it should be a decent little van. So as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers guys.